Welcome back, everybody, to another week of the passenger seat. Whoop, whoop. Woo. And we have a very special guest once again, my brother Gio. Hey, man, how's it going?
Yo, it's cramped back here. Can you all move the seat up just a little bit?
Anyways, writers, thank you for joining us again. Today we have a very special topic, one where Gio is very, very well versed. Me, a little bit, and Carlos not so much. But hey, it's all good. You know how we do. We're gonna go into nerd news first, then we're gonna talk about our main topic of the day. And Gio, if you'd like to tell the writers what our main topic is.
Well, that's pretty simple. It's an icon of amazing anime that has withstood the test of 40 years. I mean, we're talking about Gundam here.
Yes.
There's a lot to talk about with that.
Lots to talk about, but don't worry. We're going to keep it short. We're not going into some type of deep dive video where we're going to review all of Gundam. That's not what it's going to be about. We're just going to talk about it as it is a very important component in the world of nerdism. Ism?
Isms.
Isms.
Yes.
Let's go ahead and start with nerd news. I have quite a few, so I hope you guys don't mind if I take the floor to start us off.
Go ahead. I think I only have one.
Okay.
Just leave the part that I'm standing on. You can take the rest of it. I just want to stay on just one the one that I'm standing on.
Got it. Okay. So first couple of things. Before I get into the realm of TCGs, because y'all know that is my thing. The first thing I'm going to talk about is we're going into the music space. And one of my favorite bands at the moment released their newest album, and that is Bill Murray, not the actor. Bill Murray, spelled Bilmuri. Their new album, or his new album, because it's one dude, and it's called Kinda Hard, and the album goes kinda hard. So
I would love it if people thought that was actually Bill Murray. Just
right.
Hey, it worked for Chris Lee.
You're right.
True.
So yeah, Bill Murray's Kinda Hard. If you're into, I want to say, rock, country, pop vibes. I mean, metal. Go check it out. It's a really cool thing that they do. They also have this amazing saxophonist called Gabby Rose. She is absolutely amazing. Not only has she worked with Bill Murray, but she is also been with Sleep Token. She has her own solo projects. A lot of cool stuff, a lot of experimental things that they're doing with music there, and that's really cool to see. So if y'all are into that stuff, make sure to go ahead and check it out. The next piece of nerd news that I have is talking about something classic being remade. It is returning, and this may be interesting news to you, Gio, as you may be you are familiar with this. I'm not going to say you may be. You are familiar with this, and I'm not sure if you've heard it or not, but Vampire Hunter D confirms 2026 return with a new preview.
Damn, that's
I did not know that. Ironically, I was talking to somebody like 2 weeks ago going, we need another Vampire Hunter D. It's been too damn long because the last movie was great.
There you go. So your wish is fulfilled.
I want to know who's doing the soundtrack because in the last movie, Do As Infinity did a lot of the music work for that, or they pulled the music from them, and it just made the movie.
Nice. Well, yeah, you can check it out and see all the little tidbits about that. Now, moving over to this is not really nerd news more than it is just me trying to show something off that I got recently. I'm a pretty big fan of a channel called Meat Canyon. If any of you writers have heard of it, Meat Canyon is a channel on YouTube, and they, what they do there is basically they do these crazy, very horrific type animations where they take a theme and then they make it into this, I don't know what that sort of genre is called. I'm guessing horror, and they
grotesque.
Yeah, it's very grotesque horror type style animation, and it's really cool.
I think the most popular one that people would probably recognize him for is the Bugs Bunny one.
Is the Bugs Bunny one, which got taken down, by the way. He got a cease and desist for that one, but he's done a couple, and now he has a slew of other channels, one being Papa Meat, where it's more of a sort of vlog. What do you call it? A vlog podcast type style channel, which I tend to watch a lot. Anyways, they do a lot of cool things there, especially with these puppets that they make. And these puppets are really horrific and gross, and it's fantastic. The point is, he recently started releasing toys, and I can proudly say that I picked up one of my favorite characters or puppets that they've made called Margaret. And Margaret, I have her right here. I'm going to show it off. This is Margaret.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
I just see the hands on the side.
Sorry. It'll be harder for you to see, but
oh, that reminds me of a boglin.
Of a boglin. Well, Gio, you remember this because I sent you a video one time, and Margaret was in it. She was the stove, the oven.
It's been a while, man.
It's okay. Anyways, I just wanted to proudly show that off. Now let me get into the TCG aspect of news. And obviously, we're still in anticipation of Strixhaven, Secrets of Strixhaven, which is dropping, I believe, next week. Pre-release events are going to start for us. And then there's like 2 or 3 more weeks until retail. Super excited about that. For anybody pumped for Secrets of Strixhaven, they've dropped a lot of stuff, a lot of very cool things. Obviously, we have the prepared spells, which are bringing back some very iconic and powerful spells on a stick, such as what we mentioned in our last video, the Emeritus of Ideation, who has Ancestral Recall as a prepared spell. There's another one that has Seething Song. A couple really, really prolific cards in Magic the Gathering. And obviously, people have already found a way to break those mechanics. So super exciting. Displacer Kitten, for those of you who are aware of, these cards in Magic the Gathering. Displacer Kitten is a huge staple in limited format, especially because, for you guys who don't know, basically what the cat does, or the kitten does, is that anytime you play a non-creature spell, it's going to blink something on the field. And so the cool thing with these prepared spells is that you don't need to do the conditions to re-prepare them to recast these broken spells. All you have to do is have a Displacer Kitten on field. You use their prepared spell. It'll proc the kitten. It'll blink whoever has the prepared spell, and you'll be able to do it over and over. Really busted combo. Displacer Kitten has gone quite a lot in price. So for those of you who have copies of Displacer Kitten, congratulations. Now, this is my very last piece of nerd news, and this is going to be interesting to Gio, because I heard about this
again.
Yes, and I could not believe this. So, obviously, I'm at my LGS. I'm really good friends with the owner of the LGS, and we're talking, and he's telling me about all these new TCGs that are coming up. Actually, this isn't my last piece of nerd news, but he's telling me about all these cool TCGs coming out. And slight parentheses, just so I can throw my other piece of nerd news in there, and it is Cyberpunk TCG. I know we've talked about it before. Currently on Kickstarter, it's about $200,000 shy from hitting the $20 million mark.
Wow.
That is insane. It is currently the 3rd most funded project in Kickstarter. The highest funded project in history was, I think, a set of books, which racked up about like 40 million. But still, for a trading card game, it is number 1 on Kickstarter. The last one being Altered, which generated 6 million and flopped. Altered recently died. Whatever. But this game, right, it's made more than 3 times what Alter made, and it is looking really good. What I wanted to mention here is that they have on their Kickstarter the ability to print out these PDFs with 2 decks that you can actually try the game out and see how it goes. And I'm going to go ahead and show these cards here. Hold up, let me fix them. I'm going to show these cards here. These are the printouts. I'm going to show it to you guys. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so these are the printouts, and this I've been playing it for a little bit. What I can say so far regarding this, before getting back to the nerd news that was going to surprise Gio, is that the game plays a lot like Lorcana. If you haven't played Lorcana, it's basically Magic. What me and my friends called Magic for kids. Magic with basically no interaction. It plays a lot like that, and it has this dice element where the dice, or gigs in this game, is what you try to steal from your opponent. The gigs give you something called street cred, and street cred helps you play, or use other cards, and that gives you benefits. You play with 3 legends, who are sort of like those big characters in One Piece. I don't know what they're called. I haven't played the One Piece TCG. But overall, it's a very interesting game so far from what I've tested. There have been a lot of ideas thrown around, so I'm really excited to see where they go. There's a lot of things that are, not a lot, but there are a couple of things that are concerning. And I'm not going to get into that right now. I think we could maybe leave that for another video. But finally, getting back into the surprising nerd news regarding TCG with Geo, is that I have my friend LGS owner telling me about these new card games coming out, and he says, "Oh, there's this new Invincible card game coming out." I'm like, "Invincible? Really?" And he tells me, "Yeah, it's Invincible Overpower."
Wow.
Ain't that
Wow, that is a name I haven't heard in a very long time.
isn't that a blast from the
Holy
past?
crap. I used to have a stack of Marvel overpowered cards,
And that is the
and
only
I
reason
think
why I
about
know.
yeah, and I think 10 years ago they tried to relaunch the whole overpowered thing, but I very rarely ever see it because you only find those things in I've only ever seen them at Barnes and Nobles,
Yeah.
ironically.
So it was pretty surprising to me because I know Overpower only because of Geo, because he had those cards, Marvel cards from Overpower. And when he said that, I was like, that name sounds so familiar. And then I looked up the Overpower Marvel cards. I'm like, dude, it's the same game. What the heck? So it was a really interesting little tidbit that I learned. And I thought you would find it absolutely interesting. So glad that you did. Anyway, see, you got the floor, man. You go ahead.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't have much nerd news for you guys. I probably only have 2 things. Toei Animation, it's under fire. I know you guys probably know them most for designing One Piece and other stuff. They're pretty famous. They're the ones with that freaking Puss in Boots cats that does the thingy anime.
Yeah, they're
Anime.
also responsible for Dragon Ball Digimon as well.
Yes, they are
I
under
toured
fire
them, that's how I
because
know.
there was an employee who did basically leak or say to another person online that they were drawing Nami from One Piece, and that they drew it. They showed other people, and the other person was like, "Oh, this animation's great," and then they got in trouble by their director because their director told them, "No, you need to make Nami's boobs bigger." And then they showed it again. The person was like, "Why'd you make them so big?" And he's like, "If I didn't, I would get in trouble." And he wrote all this online. And now Toei Animation's under fire by the American audience because of their, I guess you would say, perviness or like obligation to make her boobs bigger when they weren't necessary. All that type of stuff. Um, I don't know if anything's really gonna come of it because let's be honest, this is Japan, this is America. They're just gonna continue doing what they want. I believe there's no doing or anything, so it's just one of those things where they're just under fire by being called a pervert, which they're probably used to it.
Mm,
Let's be real.
well, here's my thoughts on that. Do you know if, like, that was under Oda's sort of purview. Like Oda greenlit that. Was he like, no? Was Oda the one to say like, bigger boobs or no?
It wasn't Oda. It was like the person who was in charge of the animators, I guess.
Okay. I mean,
But the guy he never did say Oda.
okay. I'm not. So here's the thing: if the person was put in that position, I assume it's with the thought process of, oh, this person's got this handled, and they know the way. Like if I'm Oda, right? They know the way that I want this to be handled. And so here's the thing with creative, with works of art or creative liberty, I guess. Who are you to say how it should and shouldn't be? I mean, if the director says, I want to make a show where the girls' tits are absolutely anatomically impossible, and I want them to wear skimpy clothing, and I want them like, dude, if you're a viewer, you don't have to watch it, but you can't criticize
Yeah.
the creative liberties of other people. That's my personal viewpoint. I can understand how it may seem offensive to some people, but at the same time, if we're over here on our side, and I mean in America, clamoring about freedom of speech and all that bullshit, I'm not going to get too much into that. Just let other people have whatever the fuck they want. And if you're not interested, just don't watch it.
Yeah, it's funny because the majority of like I know this for a fact because I finished it and I talk to people around work or in life, and the percentage of people I find that actually are caught up on One Piece, I'm like, bro, like you guys are complaining just to complain, but you haven't even seen it, like
Mm.
the full thing at least.
My 2 cents, because again, I went to school for computer animation. Um, Oda is the one who designed the characters, right?
Mm.
So all the characters have to meet a very specific spec. Anything that deviates from that is automatically rejected. So I kind of want more context to this because I find it really hard to I find it hard to believe that a director would go against the character established designs. So if an artist made Nami and made Nami different from what the character spec is supposed to be, being told no, she has to have a bigger chest because that is what the character design was originally supposed to be. It's to keep the animation consistent throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
And if you deviate from that established plan, then you're technically creating a completely different character altogether.
I
Because
agree.
it's that consistent recognition that you'd be able to take a look at a character and at a glance recognize it. It's like if you changed Goku's hair,
Oh,
you know,
agreed.
if you parted it the other direction, it's now
Yeah,
Bardock, it's not Goku. Um, or if you gave him purple hair instead of his iconic traditional jet black or the gold, you're already branching into a different character design, and it's no longer part of that same character build.
Agreed.
So I can
yeah, no,
understand why they were told that.
I think it's just not to get too far into it or prolong this, but it's majority just this American ideology of getting offended by it. That's basically what it was. I don't think it's going to change anything for toy animation. I don't think it should,
No,
because they didn't
shouldn't.
necessarily do anything wrong. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Yeah. No.
Anyways, I'll go on to my other piece of nerd news. And that is it's simple, but at the same time shocking, I guess, for a lot of people, and that is for Walt Disney World. They are rethinking about revamping the Avatar space in Disney World because the Avatar space is very beautiful but not attracting for children. So they're thinking about replacing it with Zootopia.
Hey.
So for those of you excited about the Avatar thing, maybe you should go see it before they put it away and change it to Zootopia. But I understand where Disney's coming from.
Hmm.
A lot of little kids, they're not really attracted to Avatar like they would be for an animated film like Zootopia. So that's their decision. I don't really care. I don't care for Avatar like that. So
Yeah. For me personally, I feel like that's actually the play. That is actually a smart move.
mm,
Zootopia, I love the Zootopia movies. And I think it is the better call for that demographic. 100%.
right.
100%. It's just a smart business move in its entirety.
Anything to get away from giving us a fantasy world like they were supposed to.
But
No,
it is
seriously.
it is for
Look at
adults
the
majority.
No, but if you look at the logo for that area, that
Mm.
particular park, there's a dragon on there because it was supposed to be a fantasy land.
Oh yeah, uh-huh.
Like,
Well,
I want my fantasy land, man.
Talking animals is fantasy.
But it's not dragons.
That's all my nerd news, at least for me. So you go ahead and take the floor, Gio.
All right, so my nerd news is again we touched about it at the beginning about Gundams, and so they announced just a couple weeks ago that we are getting something called Gundam Assemble, which is a miniatures based tabletop game, and I don't have any information on it specifically, but the it looks very Warhammer like, where you have your different terrains, you've got your different models, you can paint them
Different
any way you
armies.
want to. There's assemblies, there's different starter kits. I already have my eye on starter one because it has my favorite Gundam. Actually, it's got two of my favorite Gundams, Wing Zero Custom and the RX 78-2.
mm,
Um, but it also comes with Epion, and each set has iconic Gundams, and they do range in pricing, and some of them do get very expensive. I think I saw one for about $170,
yikes.
Yeah.
but that one brings 10 models
Oh,
and a bunch of other extra stuff. So like you're getting some good stuff, and the detail work on on the models look pretty good. But of course, it's like the name says, you assemble these models together and set them up and get them ready to go for your epic battle between well, take your faction because Gundam gets convoluted.
right. Um, I don't know. I think that the idea is really well warranted. I was talking to Gio earlier about it a little bit, and I mentioned how Warhammer has its own IP, right? And when you do this concept with something where the IP makes sense, I'm not that Warhammer doesn't make sense. I'm just saying they could do something where the IP wouldn't really make sense. And so you have this huge title behind it, where in essence, right, war is sort of like this revolving theme. And what better way to do it in this tactics sort of style game where you're on this playing field that you can make yourself. I can only imagine the way you're going to handle doing all the terrains and stuff, or doing outer space fights and stuff, and then just having this iconic IP behind it. I don't know. I feel like it's a great idea.
I mean, it worked when they meshed Gundam and Dynasty Warriors. Like it was an amazing game. If you ever got a chance to try it, it was Dynasty Warriors Gundam. And again, it's like this game. You choose your mech and you just kind of run through all these different scenarios, and it was just a lot of fun. So I think you're right. I think the natural way that Warhammer and Warhammer 40K have had this amazing hold on tabletop miniatures. I mean, you can even go back up to as far as HeroClix as well had its own stint in popularity, which
Jeez.
was also another miniatures based games.
Hmm.
Um, so Gundam just kind of makes sense, especially since it's in the same vein as the Warhammer 40K stuff, but with the Gundam IP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that being said, now that we've already started talking about Gundam, let's go ahead and get to the main topic of the video. And
Yeah.
talking a little. Oh, go ahead.
No, no, go.
Oh, let's get into the main topic of the video, talking about Gundam. And what we're gonna do is that we're gonna talk. You're gonna do a general overview of Gundam. We're gonna talk about one of the, I feel like biggest things that come with Gundam, not just all the, the slew of series that the show has or the IP has, but also one of the things within that IP which I would say has a huge, like humongous fan base in and of itself, and that is Gunpla. And then we'll talk about how Gundam has influenced modern media when it comes to giant mechs. That being said, Gio, do you wanna start us off, man?
Yeah, I
I
mean
actually would. would like to
Go ahead. Go ahead.
probably start by saying, because I'm probably the least informed in this. I'm gonna be honest. The only Gundam show I think I've ever watched is probably Gundam Wing, when it came out on Toonami. So I had to do a little bit of research before this video, as Joseph told me, because this is what we were going to talk about. So I've learned only a couple things, and one of the most I exciting, I guess not exciting, but one of the most interesting things. So I'm pretty sure Gio already knows was where's the name of Gundam, like where it came from.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. So it was just like I wanted to share that because I don't know if everybody knew, but it was like they incorporated obviously the name Gun, and then they wanted to call it Gun Dome because they wanted to unite the names Gun and Freedom, which I was like, that sounds so America. That was like America right off the bat. Like, what the heck? But then they changed it into Gun Dam because they believed that it would basically be like a dam where you protect the rest. Like, you are the front, you're the shield. So they put together the word Gun Dam, Gundam, and they it was interesting when I learned that information. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I thought I would share it with the crowd because don't have a lot to share about Gundam in its entirety.
Yeah, I think we both knew that, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did, Gio. I knew that as well.
Oh,
I
he
did not
did it.
actually.
Really?
Aha!
I mean, I could lie, but no, I actually didn't know what the origin of the name because honestly, I didn't dig too much into that because I'm more. I love the different series
Mm.
that they show,
Oh,
and
all I did was
it's a
dig into the
mission.
history.
It's a mission and a half
Yeah,
just trying to keep which storyline goes to what timeline.
yeah, that's for sure. Talking about the name though, and sorry to interrupt you here, Gio. But
You're good.
interestingly enough, right, and going piggybacking on that topic, the whole Gundam thing, these mechs, right, they're actually called mobile suits. The Gundam is just like a
Mm.
category within the overall umbrella, which is mobile suit. Sort of like I feel like it's sort of the same effect as like Link and Zelda. They got Zelda on
Oh
the
my
name,
god.
so everybody thinks that Link is Zelda. I feel like
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of the general idea with Gundam. But yeah. Anyways, that was it. You go ahead, Gio. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, the origin of Gundam is actually kind of interesting because of the fact that the creator wanted to show um, robot mech, but not in a superhero aspect like say Gigantor was.
Mm,
Um, he wanted to do the realistic what is it? He wanted to tie the robot genre into more realism, and war was the best fit.
mm,
And so, that's why in almost every single Gundam series, there's some kind of conflict happening between two different factions, be it the Space Noids, Earthside, Xeon,
mm.
Zick Xeon.
Suxion.
Um,
Jesus
Fun
Christ.
fun fact, he actually helped create Astro Boy before he did Gundam.
um, Probably where he got his inspiration.
Right.
um, but the whole thing about Gundam though is that it doesn't really matter what series you really jump into if it isn't part of the what they call the universal century, because they almost all operate as a standalone saga
Hmm.
Mm.
that is completely disconnected from everything else. With obvious exception of like Gundam Wing and then Gundam Wing Endless Waltz is, that's part of that one universe. And you've got Gundam Seed Destiny. But, the one that started it off actually flopped.
Yeah.
And that was the original Mobile Suit Gundam
Hmm.
with Amuro.
Amuro.
Mm.
Yep.
But it wasn't until Toonami rolled around here in the States, and they were like, "Well, we want something on our show, or on our block. What do we air?" And Gundam Wing, I think, had been the more recent version of Gundam,
Mhm.
so they ran with that, and it just took off like a rocket because before Gundam Wing, I remember going into my local comic book store and they had a very small wall with the Gunpla already there, which is Gundam plastic.
Mhm.
And you had the different models on the wall, but they had very limited, and then they had their old VHSs. And so it was because of this type of marketing. Once Toonami got their hands on it, those stores could not keep Gundams in stock. They were selling left and right, and the demand for these giant robots just took off like a rocket. And now we've gotten um, so many different shows, including the original show, and we're still missing quite a chunk of it because they did do some skipping with
It-
some of the
I,
other series that never aired.
Hmm.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to do like some clarification because of all the research I did from the history. So
Hmm.
it did fail in Japan, but it also got really popular in Japan before Gundam Wing came out because of the toys. It actually fell, and the animators were like, "Well, this sucks," but the toys made it to the shelves, which is the Gunpla, and it brought back the series in Japan and the Japanese audience actually became more interested, and they wanted the DVD releases. So they released DVD releases, but then they also released 3 movies of the original series, and it became so popular that then they decided to try to move it to United States.
Yeah. As a matter
Just
of fact,
wanted
they
to
teamed up with no, it's great because they actually teamed up with Bandai Namco
Yes.
because they had their own toy division, which I have a store 10
What?
minutes away from me. I have a Bandai Namco store.
Oh,
Yes.
It- I do.
Eh,
I'm also not too far from one of the largest Gundam retailers, Gunpla retailers, on this side of the country.
Yes.
So I have some B-roll footage that I got to send over.
Yes, yes. We'll be displaying that. Now, I do want to talk a little bit, and not to take away from you here, Gio. I do want to talk a little bit about the overall encapsulating story of Gundam, for riders watching who may not be familiar, who maybe wanted to dip their toes in the water that is Gundam. And maybe Gio, after this, you can go ahead and give some good recommendations as to where to start. Because that's the good
Hmm.
thing about Gundam too, right? You just have to understand the main concept. But like you mentioned earlier, Gio, it's a lot of these series are standalone, so you can really go sort of anywhere and still get the over encompassing idea of the story. And so what Gundam is, it's actually a story of what's the term for that? It's rebelling. It's a war. It's a warring conflict. Mainly that started off between the Earth Federation and Xeon, which the full name was the Principality of Xeon. And so basically what it is that the Earth moved people, and I'm going to say this very poorly, by the way. Basically, Earth moves people out to space colonies. The space colonies are still governed by Earth, and then those space colonies say "F you, Earth," and then they go to war. With Xeon being the first, the Principality of Xeon being the first to go ahead and design the mobile suits, and then Earth Federation makes their own version of the mobile suits, and then that's how that story keeps on progressing, with advances in technology, essentially, and then going to these extreme bouts and all the different sort of conflicts that happen within, I guess, that system. And by system, I mean like
Hmm.
all those planets and colonies and stuff. So yeah, I said that very poorly, but that's just what I believe to be a general idea of what the show is.
Yeah, that's pretty succinct actually. It is about people who are under effectively colonial control.
Mhm. Don't we
And
know
there
about
are
that?
some real oh yeah, yeah. I was about to say, well, there are some real world examples of that, Puerto Rico, Guam being two perfect examples.
Mhm.
And these colonies looking to want their independence, want to have their own say in their destiny, and so they rebel against the system that keeps them under thumb. And that's really the overall story for most of the Gundam shows that you'll end up encountering. But if you're looking to get into Gundam and not really do too big of a deep dive as far as the history of a large series goes, G Fighter Gundam is a lot like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, except with Gundams, and that is literally the best way of putting it. And of course, we mentioned before Gundam Wing, which
Mhm.
was an absolutely amazing series, and it got a lot of us into Gundam itself.
the way to
And
blow up
that
the
is,
United States was Gundam Wing.
Yeah, yeah, and that is actually a standalone story.
Mhm.
Um, there is the one where you're taking actual Gumplas and fighting, which is the what was it? Gundam Build Fighters, I believe. I'm not too familiar with that one. And there's a chibi version called SD Gundam,
SD.
which I refuse to watch. I can't
I've
stand it.
heard good things though. Honestly,
Uh,
oh,
mhm.
go. I was gonna say honestly for me, I got into Gundam really late. My first show, and it was mainly this is gonna be funny. Confessions with Joseph. I actually watched Gundam for the first time because I was into this girl back in high school. I wasn't even in high school. I was
Oh,
probably in like middle school.
damn! So you saying I watched Gundam first than you?
Yeah,
That's surprising, actually.
yeah. I mean, like, and I mean, wholeheartedly watched it. Right, because obviously I'd
Mm,
seen Gundam before, but I watched my first one was Gundam Seed Destiny. Because yeah,
Oh, you missed the first part of that one.
yeah. So I jumped straight into Gundam Seed Destiny. I was lost, but overall I thought it was cool, and then I got into
I'm trying to
Gundam.
impress this girl.
I know, terrible. Anyways, we don't talk about unspeakable things. Anyways, um,
Actually, now that we have Geo here, because I know me and Joseph have talked about it. Geo, what's your opinion about the Netflix Gundam live action?
hmm,
Uh, it's not out yet, right? As far
No,
as
no,
I
no,
know,
no,
it
no.
hadn't been
It's
out
not out
yet.
yet. Not out yet. But you got like
I,
Sydney
I'm of
Sweeney and
I'm of
Noah.
t- I'm of two minds. I'm of two
Okay.
minds about it. It can be as amazing as One Piece
Mm,
or as absolutely horrendous as Death Note.
or Cowboy Bebop. Sad.
hmm,
Yeah, yeah, like the track record for Netflix is not the greatest. And
hmm.
so I'm hoping that they take a page out of the success of One Piece.
Mm.
Because when they announced Yu Yu Hakusho as a live action, I was
Oh.
stoked. Then I watched it and I was filled with rage
Now,
because Yu Yu
to
Hakusho was
be
one of my
fair,
favorite animes and they screwed it up.
it was. I don't. And the thing is, I'm not to have anything against these guys, but sometimes I feel like when the Japanese do it, they don't do it as well. I feel like maybe if you try the American directors and the American creators to make these animes, maybe they might turn out better, like with One Piece. Just put it out there.
Well, Oda still has full control of One Piece, which is why it's so good.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
it's the problem is that people kind of confligate the storytelling of Asian cinema versus American cinema. American cinema is very action oriented, whereas Asian cinema tends to be a lot of subtext, and you kind of have to be able to read between lines. I love Asian cinema. There's so many good stuff out there, and Gundam is one of those that you really have to get the subtext right for it to be a good show. It could have
So
the best graphics possible, but if you don't get that story beat just right, it's gonna trash that entire series.
Hmm.
so it makes you worried that it's being made by Americans.
It makes me worried that it's being made by someone who doesn't understand the material.
Hmm. Okay.
Like who makes it, I don't really care. It's you need to understand the material.
Well, right off the bat, the freaking main character, what's his name from the first series,
Amuro.
Amuro?
is being played by it's a man, so it's not gonna be a boy anymore. That's right off the bat. I don't know if that's a big deal.
Uh,
Let me take a look here.
I mean, somewhat.
Hey, he's got a baby face.
So
Anyway, sorry to stray off the main topic. I just wanted to get his opinion on the Netflix show.
no, you're fine. But that being said, let's go ahead and roll into talking a little bit about the Gunpla, and then we can go ahead and close out with how it's had an effect in media. When it comes to
Ooh,
Gunpla,
I have a fun fact about the Gunpla.
go go ahead. I'm just hey man, you're editing this one. It's 40 minutes already. You go right ahead.
uh, no, just a fun fact about the toys in general was that the creator of Gundam actually wanted all the Gundams to be either completely black, completely gunmetal, or completely white. He did not want any color in his Gundams because in real war you wouldn't use bright colors.
Mm.
But then the marketing team, along with the toy makers, were like, "No, we gotta add some colors because then kids won't buy them." And he was actually upset about it, but he had to do it anyways because they were the one pulling in the money. But then, as years pass, the creator has said that that was the right decision, and he thinks that colored Gundams are actually more beautiful in the defense of peace than just plain gray.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Sometimes in retrospect, 2020 hindsight, you see that you were wrong in a couple of things. But that comes
Well,
with
look at the
Right.
Tuskegee Airmen.
huh?
So
Quick side thing. The Tuskegee Airmen. They were back in World War II. They were considered like expendable garbage because it was an all African American pilot team.
Mm.
They painted their fins bright red, and they actually had one of the, if not the best escort records ever in World War II. They did not lose a single plane that they ran escort with.
I don't think that's what he was thinking about at the time, but yeah,
No.
I see it.
No, but still, cool fun fact. That is a cool fact to know. Now getting into the world of Gunpla here. Okay, I'm gonna say my piece first because I know Gio, you can go on about this a lot because I remember as a tyke, as a small child, I'd used to see these Gunpla figures around the apartment, and again, Gunpla is something that I didn't get into until much later, where uh, mainly because I learned about a store nearby that actually sold Gunpla. And I was like, let me give it a try. And I fell in love with Gunpla, dude, with building model kits. It was such a life-changing experience. One, because I didn't realize it was so zen. When you're sitting down with a model kit and you're just taking your time putting this thing together, you zone out, dude. It is one of the most calming things, and it is super. How is it one of the most calming things and also one of the most frustrating things at the same time? I don't understand. Um, but yeah, Gunpla for me has been absolutely fantastic. You know, the first Gunpla kit for me, it was obviously a high grade. And I think, what did I pick up? I think it was a model of the unicorn or something, or I think it not.
Oh,
I don't know if it was unicorn. I don't know if it was. I can't even remember, dude. Um, all I know is that I had a lot of fun building it, and then I got into real grades. Well, I got into master grades and then real grades, and I think my first master grade was a Sasabi.
that's a good one.
It was a really good. Oh man, I love that fucking kit. Um, but yeah, not to drag that on too long. You go ahead, Gio.
Yeah, I think mine was my first gunpla was a Gelgoog, master grade Gelgoog actually. Um, yeah, like there is something just oddly strange about just putting something together with your hands, seeing that sense of accomplishment. But then you see the little parts where the plastic joined, and you need to sand that out, and then you've got to be really careful because you don't want to ruin the
Yeah,
plastic, because once you ruin it, then it's like forever staring there and just twisting a nut. Yeah, no, totally understand where that frustration comes from.
yeah, for sure.
But growing up, I always loved putting things together, and one of the things that I loved doing was building models together. I built a model of the USS Enterprise,
Ooh.
the USS Intrepid. I did, which was a naval battleship. I put together the I actually did put together a USS Enterprise model kit, but it was I was getting really big into robots, and then I saw Gunpla, and I was like, ooh, that looks cool. Let me grab one of those. And it took me a good 6 weeks just to put it together, and then I kind of wanted to start painting it, and I started with a, perfect grade Wing Zero custom that I picked up in Tokyo,
It
and
started with
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay,
Oh yeah.
okay. So
Go
quick,
big or go home, man.
fuck. Quick parentheses for writers who aren't familiar with Gunpla. Gunplas have certain grades of difficulty, and detail. That's the most important part. Detail. when it comes to these kits. I think the very first one, I don't know what the very basic one is called. But after that very, very basic one for like starters who've never really built anything in their life and they just want to go ahead and start with that, or for like not toddlers, but like young kids, that's the one to go. Then there's high grade. After high grade is master grade and real grade, which are both the same sort of depth of intricacy, but on different scales. So high grades are 1/144th, I believe.
I think so. I have to double check.
I
It's been a
believe
while.
I believe that's the scale. The master grades are much larger. The real grades are the same scale as the high grades, but with the same detail as master grades. And then there's perfect grades, and perfect grades are ridiculous. I mean, just a kit can cost you upwards of $200, and I mean that's sort of like the starting price for perfect grades. And you can imagine how much detail, how many pieces, how many moving parts go into a perfect grade. I mean, it is a lot of work. I've never done one. I've wanted to, but it's scary, man. To hear that you've started out with that is nuts.
Oh, there's one more above it.
Is there?
Mega grade.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
um, yeah, no, it's wild. High grade is actually the starter one. Is the one you want to start with.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they like there's a lot of small parts with that perfect grade, and I tried to start painting it. I found colors that matched the red and the blue, but they had like a glint of metallic. But unfortunately, because they take so long to put together, I moved a few times and I lost parts, so I never got a chance to put it back together
Oh,
until somebody decided to surprise me with I think it was a Christmas gift. It's either Christmas or birthday, and it's currently sitting in a box in the storage, safe and sound until I can actually sit down and start putting that thing together. Because I will be putting that thing together.
jeez. Did I get you that perfect grade?
Yes, you did.
Dude, I barely remember getting it. I remember getting it now that you told me, but I totally forgot about it. Christ.
Yeah, no, dude. Anytime you get me something amazing like that, that gets put into a very special box until I can deal with it because I don't want anything happening to it. Like I'm afraid of putting that Gundam together until I can get a proper display box for it.
Yeah.
Because once that thing is put together, it's going in a box that doesn't. I don't have to worry about dust in the damn thing. I want it to look so good.
There you go. Carlos, I know you haven't really had experience with building a gun club, but I think I sent you didn't I send you one time a model kit too?
It was Frieza. That was funny enough.
Frieza. Did you ever get to
Stolen now.
Oh, that's right. What a fucking bummer, dude. People, don't leave your stuff in
Unattended. Storage units that don't have cameras.
there you go. That sucks, my guy. I'm so sorry to hear that. Fuck. Anyways, let's roll into the last bit here because we've been going on for quite a while. And if you've stuck around for this long, Riders, thank you. I mean, thank you.
Yeah,
For real.
those are
And
some long haul riders, man.
for real. Also, they're cutting grass. I don't know if my mic is picking that up. If it is, I'm sorry.
Nope.
Neighbors, am I right? Anyways, let's talk about how Gundam has influenced media when it comes to mechs, right? And I think Gundam has had a very powerful impact in the way giant mechs are done now. I feel like it's been an inspiration to many, and I think that it's safe to say. I mean, of course, obviously Gundam wasn't the first. We obviously had giant mechs before, but I feel like the most influential up to date, in modern media at least, has to be Gundam.
No, I believe that too. Honestly, Gundam has made such an impact. From the research I've done, it's made a humongous impact in the community of mechs because before that, a lot of the mechs had to do with more magical or sort of spiritual way of making the mech like turn into the mech, or the person is it like mentally like far away and adjusting with the mech, or Astro Boy where it's an android. Gundam actually made the first mech that was just operated by a human being, and obviously it was a humongous influence later on all the other mechs, including stuff like Voltron and whatever you could think of. um so it definitely, Gundam is probably the first and the biggest impact ever for a mech controlled by a human being, just like if it was a car. Like, I think that's like the biggest the difference is because before that time it wasn't like that.
Mm.
So it did make a huge impact and it still makes a huge impact. I mean, come on. Whoever thinks of a mech suit, they think of probably Gundam. Either that or a Power Rangers.
Well, I mean, there's a lot to be said about the mech genre as a whole. You've got I mean, you've got stuff like Pat Leber, um, which I'm probably mispronouncing, but which also has mechs, but it's smaller mechs. It's people in it's like a police force that are using mechs designed for cities to patrol streets and everything. You've gotten the Tachbanas, which are automated, but they're still mech-like, which are from Ghost in the Shell.
Mm.
And there's just so many little influences of warlike war stories with mech type robots. I remember, and I have to look it up, and unfortunately I don't remember. There was even a fantasy. There's actually a couple of fantasy based animes that use piloted mechs. Escaflowne is one of them that comes into mind, but there's another one that I'm recalling, but I can't remember the name. But Escaflowne also has a mech robots in wartime, but it's based more in fantasy as opposed to futuristic. But you can still see the inspiration from Gundam.
Mm.
So like it's to say that Gundam in itself hasn't had some kind of influence in pop culture and just anime as a whole is honestly an understatement. Like you can trace a lot of it back to Gundam.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
agree.
so yeah, I think overall the idea is we're us three as nerds, and within this space, I think we're all very grateful for Gundam. Because with even if we're not directly like if even if one of us may not be a fan, or one of us may not be as into it, we got to give it its flowers for giving us the explosion of all this other creative media that we have because of it. And yeah, I think that's an overall encompassing idea. Writers, if you stuck with us this long, we appreciate you so much. Go ahead and check out Gundam if you haven't. Maybe this video has inspired you to go ahead, and maybe you haven't watched Gundam in a while and you want to get back into it. Maybe you haven't ever, built a Gunpla and you want to now go to your store and get one and build it and see what that's like. And I think that'll be, if anything, one of the most important things that we can sort of impart in this video. And Gio, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Yeah,
And
please
Yeah.
don't let Netflix be your first introduction to Gundam. Check something else
Real
out
quick
first.
though, real quick, since you brought it up, if you do plan on going to these stores and grabbing a Gundam, don't just think I'm only want to buy a Gundam. There's other model kits like Zoids or that are out there that I mean, if a model speaks to you, don't let it. It doesn't have to be a Gundam.
yeah,
There are a lot of spectacular model kits out there. Highly recommend checking them out. And if one really resonates with you, grab it, get a hold of it, and just sit with it and start putting it together and just let your creativity fly. Because, like Joe said, this is probably one of the most zen things you can do.
oh yeah,
That you're gonna get such a rewarding payoff out of.
yep, 100%. And riders, with that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the ride today. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. We always appreciate it. Until next time, peace out.
Peace.
You laters.